Lots of great questions there that Philip Kotler answered. And I think one of my most favorite ones was, what does a company need to excel and to really make a difference? And it's innovation and marketing. It's like those two things, that's like the secret recipe, secret formula that a company has to have. And I have to say that tonight, later on, you will see another video from Fujifilms, which actually, when I watched it, I was like, oh my God, I did not know they did all of this stuff. So it was great to see that, and it's very important to understand, like Philip Kotler mentioned, that for us, if we are an organization and if we're doing something, knowing how to make the world a better place, like having that driving what we do, would definitely give us a leg up and would definitely let us, allow us to make the world a better place then. Because then you're thinking, how do I solve problems? How do I do this? How do I do that? I'm going to give a sneak peek into another thing that's coming up later tonight. So Bob is here, Bob from Bob's Your Uncle, and you'll see another video of how wasted food is turned into beer. And I won't say more because I don't want to spoil it. I want you to watch the video later on. But like those are some great examples which just help us understand how organizations can help the world. How can they help the world become a better place? Sorry, the light is really coming in my face. So that's for that. What's coming up next?
Nothing. I just want you guys to smile one more time. Sorry, you guys are like, and I'm like, yeah. So it's just a little smile would be nice. I want to introduce our next speaker, Ries. But before I do, in order to introduce her, I want to read you an excerpt from her book. I'm going to be very honest, I only read this last night because I didn't know I was introducing her until last night. And honestly, this excerpt was so binding. It really motivated me to like, what goes on next, what goes on next. Just to let you know a little bit about Laura, she's written several books, and she's not only a national but an international bestseller. And her books have been translated to Chinese, Russian, Turkish, Polish, German, just about every language there is. So here's the excerpt from her recent book, Battle Cry, Winning the Battle for the Mind with a Slogan That Kills. She says, why are most slogans and taglines ineffective? Because they're just words, and a mind cannot understand words. A mind can only understand sounds. Why do most Americans remember the battle cry of the French Revolution? Liberté, égalité, fraternité. The French isn't that very good. When they cannot even remember the battle cry of the American Revolution. Without further ado, please put it up for Laura Ries.
Talked about, let me get the slides up. There we go. We've written about a bunch of principles. I happen to be one of the recent Ries. I had partnered with my father, I'm sure you've heard of him, Al Ries, author of Positioning back in 1993. Had the privilege of working together and knowing Phil Kotler, my father Al, and he are long time friends. But here today, I'm excited to talk about my favorite topic, branding, marketing, and positioning. And I'm really excited because the world is an exciting and changing place. And we all see this happening all the time. And the question is, are you changing with it? The older you get, the more you realize how quickly things are changing, and how do we move, how do we keep up, how do we know what's relevant or what we learned in school is still relevant today. And one important thing, and what I'm going to talk today about, is the understanding of that what worked in marketing in the 20th century doesn't necessarily work in the 21st century. There's some very important principles that I'm going to go over with you so that you can make sure that you are building the very best brand you can today. I mean, look at this. Many of the most successful 20th century companies, GE, Sony, IBM, Xerox, and Dell, are in trouble today, people. These were the companies that you studied in business school and wanted to emulate. They're in trouble. This is not And what they did is not how you build a powerful brand in the 21st century. One reason is that one brand name across a full line doesn't work anymore. It might have worked in the 20th century, it does not work in the 21st century. Let me show you the numbers. Take General Electric. 10 years ago, 183 billion in sales, 17 billion in profits. Today, they're down to 122 billion, but really the problem is their losses are 22 billion. They're in trouble. Their brand is in trouble. Their stock price is in trouble too. $36 a share down to $9. Put your brand name on everything, it ends up standing for nothing. What's a Sony? In the last 10 years, 763 billion in sales, $5 billion in losses. It was one of the most famous electronic brands. They put their name on everything. How about IBM? In the last 10 years, sales are down 23%, profits are down 29%. These are not the company's strategies you want to emulate today. We're going to talk about what strategies you need today. Look what happened to Xerox. In the last 10 years, sales declined 44%. And Fujifilm bought them. Right? Good job. That was a deal. Got the technology right? How about Dell? Dell is a real heartbreaker because they did so many things right in building the brand and narrowing the focus and dominating a category. And they greatly prospered. In 2001, they were the largest selling personal computer brand in the world. Leadership is powerful. 2002, the second largest selling brand. 2003, back to the largest. 2004, 2005, 2006. Unfortunately, sometimes when you get to the top, that's when you really start making mistakes, and that's what Dell did. They thought they could do anything. They thought their brand was all powerful. And since then, things have gone downhill. What did they do? They made the classic mistake. Do people fall in love with Dell, or do they fall in love with Computers Direct? Computers Direct was what they owned, but they then put that Dell name on everything. Retail, consumers, music players, TV sets, even smartphones. Anybody have a Dell smartphone? I don't think so. In January 2000, Dell stock was $50 a share. In 2015, it was taken private for $13.75. In 15 years, it declined 73%. That's what happens when you dilute your brand. How about the airline industry? 4 of the 5 largest airlines in America, all bankrupt. They've all gone bankrupt. The only major U.S. airline that did not go bankrupt, Southwest. Southwest has a focus. Southwest has built a brand. Why didn't they go bankrupt? They were different. They were different. All the major airlines had all classes of service, first, coach, etc. Not Southwest. Coach class only. In 47 years of operation, Southwest has never had an unprofitable year, let alone gone bankrupt. I mean, people say we got to give customers a choice. You know, we're serving the customer, right? We give a choice. Well, sure, well, if you're going to fly, and I'm going to fly later tonight, you give them the choice, right? You want to sit in the back and be cheap? Or you want to sit up in first class and feel stupid for paying those crazy prices? Some choice. You make the consumer feel worse, not better. On the other hand, a one-class airline, no choice, you feel smart. You feel smart for making the right choice. So the question is why? Why are so many successful 20th century companies in trouble today? They're not listening to the basic principles of positioning. And they're also, as I said, consumer-oriented. They're too focused on the consumer, as a matter of fact. The airline industry, as I said, consumer-oriented. Whatever the consumer wants, we'll offer it. Some want coach, and some want first class, right? We went over everything. The problem, people, is not your customers. The customers are not your problem. The problem is your competition. That's what positioning is about. Not just serving your customers, but going against your competition, being different, outmaneuvering your competition. Because if you had no competitors, you'd have 100% of the market. The competition is your problem, and the competition is why you need marketing. Because what is marketing? It's a battle between companies over markets. It's like warfare, a battle between countries over territories. Warfare is a physical battle. Marketing is a mental battle. It takes place right here, inside the mind of your prospects and customers. That's where you win, you lose, and that's where you fight the battle, and that's what we're going to talk about. And that's also the topic of the book my father wrote, Positioning, the Battle for Your Mind, teaching people about the principles that marketing isn't just about communications, it's about getting in the mind. A book that sold 3 million copies, some say the world's best-selling marketing book. You don't win in the marketplace, you win in the mind. So how do you get in the mind? That's the challenge. I mean, that's at the end of the day what you need to know. How do you get in the mind? That's where you win or lose. Well, the answer is simple, people. A narrow approach. You got to narrow your focus. That's how you get in the mind. It's what we call a position. And much like a sharp knife gets into the mind easier than a dull knife. That's why you sharpen your position to get to the consumer. Yet what do most companies do? They're customer-oriented. What if you're going to sell cars, right? Now, this is very uneven here. Cars are a big purchase, right? A lot of decision-making go into the cars. And most companies, what do most buyers want? You do research. You ask consumers what they want. They'll tell you we want everything, right? Of course they do. You give them coffee and free donuts, they'll tell you anything you want. But in a car, of course they're going to say they want reliability, good looks, nice interiors, right size, drivability. They want everything, but that's not the way to build a brand. You can't build a brand by standing for everything. You can't do it. Yet that's what most companies do. They advertise, they have everything. That's what BMW once did. Our amazing new BMW is a unique combination of luxury, performance, handling, and it's amazingly easy on fuel. I mean, think about what your company does. What do they say? Do they say they're everything, or do they say they're one thing? They'll be stronger if they said one thing. For BMW, after more than a decade of this type of advertising, saying all the great and wonderful things that their car did and was about, what do you think? How do you think they did in the market? They were nowhere. In the US imported car market, they were number 11 among European imports. Absolutely, you don't get in the mind that way. And they changed their strategy. You might have know that, right? They changed their strategy to a focused strategy focusing on one attribute of the brand, driving. An attribute that could be visualized, the ultimate driving machine, and became the world's largest selling luxury vehicle. There's a halo effect. You say, oh, am I giving up by owning one thing? No! If you can own one attribute in the mind, the prospect is inclined to give you others. They assume all the other things about you, but you gotta own one thing. You gotta start somewhere. And as I said, how successful they were, the brand became the world's largest selling luxury vehicle, ahead of Mercedes and Audi. Positioning principle number 1. I've got 4 of them to cover. I didn't get a lot of time today, but here's positioning principle number 1. First and foremost, the key to positioning is owning a word in the mind. That's what it's all about. If you could look inside a mind, you would find holes or positions. Your goal as a brand is to own one of those. And if you're running a company, you have to look in that mind and realize some are filled and some are not. If one is filled, you can't take that away. You've got to do something else. The key way to build a brand, the most powerful brand, is to be the first at a new position or a new category. How did Barilla find a position? Barilla is an Italian pasta brand. How did they position their brand when they came into the US market? Well, at the time, the pasta market was crowded. It was dominated by 4 well-known American brands. This was a crowded category, not easy. It wasn't any real great innovation here. It was another pasta brand. What are you going to do? Well, in 1996, Barilla arrived in America, and they had a very good idea. Their secret weapon? Leadership. Italy's #1 pasta. And they put it right there on the box. And 3 years later, would you believe, Barilla became America's #1 pasta. Now go ahead, ask an Italian if Barilla is good. They'll say, It's the leader, because they serve it in schools and hospitals and prisons. It doesn't matter. Italy is known for pasta, and Barilla being the leader is a very valuable asset. And it goes to show you exactly the key of how to market a global brand. #1, first dominate your global market. There is nothing like leadership. #2, use that leadership on the global market. Tell people that Dyson is the #1 vacuum cleaner in the UK, and then take it around the world. How not to market a global brand? Well, I got a great example of that. It's called Faye. Have you heard of this one? Faye dominated its local market, Greek yogurt in Greece, and then it ignored that leadership on the global market. Huge missed opportunity for an exciting new category. Greek yogurt, right? More protein, more flavor, less fat. And they missed it. It should have been theirs. Disaster. They were the leading yogurt in Greece. 24% market share. I mean, overwhelming leader. And they entered the US market, they assumed, I don't know, that everyone would just do what we do in Greece. No! You gotta reintroduce yourself, you gotta reintroduce the category. They forgot about their leadership, and they forgot about the importance of the category. Here's their interesting package. When they launched on the market, they focused not on Greece, but on the fat content of being total 2%, whatever that means. We would have focused on leadership in the category and in the country. First Greek yogurt in America. Too bad. Too bad, because you know what happened 9 years later? 9 years later, Chobani was launched by Hamdi, I don't even know, ukulele, I'm not sure. A Turkish immigrant with no experience in yogurt. Can you imagine? Turkish immigrant, no experience in yogurt, but he knew marketing. And he took that idea that was already out there and he put it in a better package with a better message and a great, simple saying on the package, Greek yogurt. Today, Chobani is the leading Greek yogurt with 38%, but also the leading overall yogurt with 20% and growing, unbelievably. Where's Faye? Nowhere, 4%. The 2 leading yogurt brands, Yoplait and Dannon, former monsters in the category, have been outmaneuvered by Chobani. How did they do it? Did they do it by being better? No, not by being better. How many of you are focused on being better? You don't win by being better, you win by being different. It's difficult to win by being better. Very difficult. You win by being different. You see, when you say our brand is better, the consumer, they don't listen to that. They said that's what they all say. You're just puffery, right? Prospects expect all brands to claim they're better. It's much easier to win when you say, we're different, and explain why you're different. When you say your brand is different, well, it starts a conversation. Well, tell me why. How does that make it better? Why you're different. Prospects are willing to consider something if you bring up that you're different, not just saying you're better. Look what happened in the energy drink market. Now, Red Bull was a pioneer, the first energy drink. That's a powerful position, dominating leadership in that new category. They also had a unique visual difference, that 8.3-ounce can that said it was, tough stuff in a small can like that. Today, it's a $6.2 billion global brand. Now, when a brand takes off like that, there's always a lot of competition, and there was no different in the energy drink category. Hundreds of competitors jumped in the market, and they all claimed they were better than Red Bull. It's not how you win. And they all came in the 8.3-ounce cans. There's a military maxim that says, if you're losing the battle, change the battlefield. So if you're losing the 8.3-ounce battle, the same maxim will work in marketing. If you're losing the battle, be first in a new category. How are you going to be first in a new category? In energy drinks? Well, how about a large size can? Monster Energy was the first brand in a 16-ounce can. Is that better? I don't know, maybe not. It's more calories, but it was different. And today, Monster is a strong #2 brand to Red Bull and growing around the world. How about Coca-Cola, the world's greatest beverage branding company? Their energy drink has never been able to get off the ground. They've got all the marketing, but they were never first. And they were never different. It was always a copycat. Of course, they've now just, put in money into Monster to get into the market. Elon Musk, of course, pioneered the electric vehicle, right? The Tesla. An exciting new category that no doubt eventually will take over the world. And even today, Tesla is worth on the stock market more than Ford, if you can imagine. Unbelievable. And it's not that everyone is asleep. All the major automobile makers know that electric is a big deal. All of them have jumped into it. They've all just done it the wrong way. They've all introduced an electric vehicle with their same brand name. None of them have given a new brand name. They're existing brand names that just put an E on it. Some pride themselves that the electric Camry looks exactly the same as a regular Camry. That's the worst. People want everyone to know that they have an electric car. It's the advantage. This is a major, major mistake. And why is it a mistake? Because you got to look at the mind. I mean, from operationally, it's not. They have one dealership, one system, one brand, one ad campaign. It makes that part harder, but you can have multiple brands because of the mind and how the mind deals with brands to begin with. You file brand names in your mind, not in some random way. You file them like you file something at the office, right? In file folders or on your computer in file folders, right? We call these folders in the mind, and each folder is an opportunity for a position, and in those positions are those brands. For example, automobiles. So automobiles is a category, but then we have sedans, and we have brands in there, SUVs, cheap cars, luxury cars, trucks, and electric cars. The great thing about branding and marketing and business, there's always opportunities for new folders, for new categories, for new brands, therefore. And when you open that electric folder, the electric car folder, what do you find? Tesla. I mean, name another pure electric car or brand. It's Tesla. You find only one brand. That's why they're such a big deal. I mean, no wonder that Tesla leads in electric cars. They have 82% of the American market. Everybody else is nowhere. That's what you want to do. You want to look for an open hole in the mind, like electric cars, and be the first brand in the mind in that new category. That's how you become a billionaire. That's how you build a business and make the world a better place. Do what Tesla did. And once your brand is firmly established, the good news is it can dominate the category for decades. It's the strength of the category that determines the success of Tesla. Why did Kodak die? Because film photography, right? The category went down. Positioning principle number 2, narrow your focus. It's the way to get in the mind. That's the way to build your company. Yet it's the opposite of the way most companies think. Most companies focus on the market. And how are we going to expand the market? That's what they focus on doing. But that's going to get you in trouble when it comes to marketing. Think about if you're going to sell cars. Well, if you're looking at the market, some people want sedans, some people want SUVs, and some people want trucks. In the year 1962, 87% of Chevrolet sales were entry-level sedans. They dominated that market, that category, if you will. Between 1962 and today, the market greatly expanded to compact, luxury, minivan, SUV, and trucks. I mean, it's gotten way more complicated. That's what happens in the world. And so what did Chevrolet do? It's the same way with computers and IBM, it got more complicated. And like IBM, Chevrolet stuck their brand name on everything. They expanded with the market. So we got compact, entry, luxury, minivan, SUV, truck, all Chevrolet. How'd that work out for them? In 1962, 31% of the share of the American market. 2019, only 12%. It's a burnt-out brand. It doesn't stand for anything. What's a Chevrolet? I don't know. Large, small, cheap, expensive car or truck. It's nothing. It doesn't stand for anything. On the other hand, what's a Subaru? What's a Subaru? Well, go back. It's the company that pioneered four-wheel drive, new innovative technology. They pioneered it. But when you go back and look, it wasn't an idea that everyone wanted in America or anywhere, right? I mean, it's really good up here. You need four-wheel drive. I'm sure everybody has four-wheel drive. But you go down to southern areas where there's no snow and ice, why spend the money? You sell two-wheel drive cars mostly. And in 1993, the sales were split. 48% four-wheel and 52% two-wheel. They went after the market. It was a consumer-focused brand that lost $250 million on sales of 1.4. And as you can imagine, the president was fired. And George Mueller was hired. What did George Mueller do? What would you do? How are you going to build this brand when you're 50% here and 50% there? You've got an opportunity, but you've got to sacrifice. You've got to sacrifice in order to build the brand. What would you do? Here's what George Mueller did. He decided to sell four-wheel drive vehicles only. He got rid of 52% of the business in order to build the brand, to stand for something, to mean something. That's what a Subaru is. And Subaru is a successful company today after a short decline by contracting to four-wheel. Huge sales took off. In 1993, 104,000 vehicles. Today, or the last year we have sales for 689,000 four-wheel drive only. Unbelievable. You're not giving up. Less is actually more when it comes to branding. Subaru sales up 553%. The fastest growing automobile brand in America. The market was only up 24% if you think it was just the market up. No, it was the brand that was up. Why is it? Everyone wants to expand the brand, stand for more things, go into more categories, when the real opportunity is the opposite. The real opportunity is how can you narrow the focus to do even bigger things and build your brand. In the year 1991, Sears was the world's largest retailer. World's largest, they feel like they could do anything, right? By the year 2018, bankrupt, slowly closing store after store. Classic mistake. One that they could have made a better decision on. You see, they had two basic businesses, major appliances and fashionable clothing. Two totally separate businesses, as a matter of fact. They have leadership though, America's leading retailer of appliances. But they were nowhere in clothing. They were a joke in clothing. And you know what they did? They spent all their time trying to save the dying clothing business. And they ran lots of ads like the softer side of Sears. Because they figured, hey, we got the appliance business, let's try to drum up the clothing business. And the classic ad, I came in for a Die Hard, the country's most popular battery, and I left with something drop dead. Really? Really? Do you think that ever happens? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. What would you do? Well, I'll tell you what I would do. I'd get out of the clothing. It didn't make any sense. There were competitors like Target and everyone else getting into clothing. Get out of the loser, focus on the winner, focus on appliances, and dominate and the leadership in that category. That's what they should have done. Leadership, low prices, could have been a winner. Another example of why it's important and how successful you can be when you narrow the focus is if you look back at the history of the search engine. The first one was Yahoo. And that's obviously powerful to be first in a search engine, and very enviable position. But Yahoo didn't narrow the focus. They rapidly made acquisitions that turned them into Yahoo Games, Yahoo Messenger, Yahoo Groups, Yahoo everything, Yahoo Mail. Once worth $125 billion on the stock market, it was recently bought by Verizon for $4.5 billion, 4% of its valuation. They got into everything, big mistake. They lost their leadership in the one thing they pioneered. The second major search engine was Alta Vista. And as soon as they were successful, they added lots of stuff too. Third major, GoTo. They got so successful, they started syndicating, and their syndication was so successful, they shut down the regular destination site. Another mistake. And now we come to Google, the search engine we all know. They weren't first, but they were focused, and the others stumbled. The only one that was a pure search. I mean, look at the page, it's empty. Right? It's waiting for you to put something into search. It's not messy. Look at Yahoo's homepage, it just says a mess. And of course we get the new logo, right? That's going to fix everything. It's the same mess with a new logo. Think about what does your homepage say? Does it say one message or is it a mess? What are you communicating? The other really important thing is, Google isn't far from perfect. And it's important to realize that once a brand is firmly established in one category, it's incredibly hard to ever move it. When a brand or a company is young and unknown, you can change all you want. No problem. But once you're established, man, it's tough. Think about search. Google is so connected to search. They can't put that brand name on a different category. It doesn't work. Can't move it into smartphones. No one wants a Google smartphone. Just like they don't want a Dell smartphone. I mean, Google's trying to do that and it's not working. Smartphone was launched in 2016 with a massive ad campaign, of course. Current market share, less than 1%. Is Google a bad company? No! But the brand doesn't work on this category. And I'll get to it in a minute, but all they needed was a second brand name. The stronger the brand, the more difficult it is to move into another category. Why is it that everyone wants to expand, that Google wants to go into smartphones, when the real opportunity is to narrow the focus? We work for Donald Trump, I hate to bring it up. As a matter of fact, well, it was my dad's ad agency back in the day that worked for him, and we thought we taught him something about marketing and the power of focus, and here's the story. The ad agency's client was Harrah's Marina, a casino hotel in New Jersey, Atlantic City. It was on the marina. It was our client. And there were two areas for gambling casinos in Atlantic City. There was the marina and the boardwalk. Harrah's was on the marina. And on the boardwalk, there were 8 casino hotels. They wanted to launch a second hotel, a second casino. And they wanted to call it Harrah's Boardwalk. And we said, oh my God, wait a minute, you can't have two casinos in the city with the same name. We had the problem with 2 Radisson Airport hotels. We went to the wrong one. You can't do that. Oh man, what a mistake, right? But we realized that it was actually a joint project with Donald Trump. Donald owned the land and Harrah's was going to build the casino, right? So we said, why not use Trump's name? Well, I'll tell you, about the easiest sale ever was saying, Trump, would you like your name on a building? And he said, sure. We'll call it Trump Plaza. We have a second hotel with a different name. After months of debate, got Holiday Inn to agree. They were the owners of Harrah's, and that's exactly what they do. Now they have 2 casinos in Atlantic City, Harrah's Marina and Trump Plaza. Harrah's Marina was over there, and Trump Plaza right there in the middle of the boardwalk, which came for a perfect slogan, Atlantic City's centerpiece. Atlantic City's centerpiece. A huge success. A huge success. Second brand name for the casinos. But unfortunately, Donald didn't listen to the theory of having a narrow focus and having one brand with one name, right? What did Donald do next? Well, he thought Trump was such a big deal. He opened 2 more casinos in Atlantic City. He opened the Trump Taj Mahal and the Trump Marina. Now we have 3 casinos in Atlantic City. Was he 3 times as successful? No. In the year 1991, the Taj, bankrupt. 92, the Plaza, bankrupt. 2004, they reorganized, bankrupt. 2009, reorganized again, bankrupt. He's very good with bankruptcy. You know, getting the bank to give him more money and write it off, bankrupt. 2014, reorganized again, bankrupt. Donald Trump's 3 casinos in Atlantic City went bankrupt 5 times. 5 times. Had he get stuck with 1 casino, he would have been far, far more successful. It's unfortunate. But it goes to show you, if marketing doesn't work for you, maybe you have a big future in politics, because Trump apparently is doing okay there. Positioning principle number 3. Multiple brands, that's the answer. Just like the answer in Atlantic City for Harrah's was a second brand name, for your company, if you see opportunities in new categories, the answer is simple. You use multiple brand names to take advantage of that. How can your company grow? You keep your one brand narrowly focused, and you launch multiple brands. It should be so simple, yet it's so hard for so many companies to do. Single brand companies dominated the 20th century, talked about GE and IBM and Dell. In the 21st century, it's going to be multiple brands, multiple brand companies that are going to dominate. That way you keep your one brand strong and launch multiple brands to take advantage. Multiple brand companies like Apple, Coca-Cola, and Procter & Gamble have made an average of, in the last 10 years, net profits 22% for Apple, 18% for Coke, and Procter & Gamble 14%. That's way above the average down there. It's hard to see, but most of the S&P 500, the average is 6.3%. Multiple brand companies do much better because they have strength in those brands. I mean, Apple isn't, you don't buy an Apple. Apple has 4 brands that dominate 4 categories: Macintosh, iPod, iPhone, and iPad. It's those 4 brands that have made Apple the first trillion-dollar firm. Not one brand, multiple brands. Coca-Cola has 20 brands, each with annual sales of $1 billion or more. Procter & Gamble, 25 brands, each with an annual sales of $1 billion or more. Marriott and hotels, we see the multiple brand strategy, 29 brands and growing. In the year 2002, Kodak was the 30th most valuable brand in the world. And one famous quote from the CEO, they felt they owned in the mind quality. They didn't own quality, they owned photographic film. He had $12 billion in sales, $700 million in profits. They thought they could do no wrong, right? 7% market share. 10 years later, they went bankrupt. Do people not want quality anymore? No, they stopped using photographic film. It had nothing to do with the people or the quality or anything. The category died. And we saw in the video, I mean, how Fuji was able to make tactical changes within the company that Kodak never did. Film photography died, and a new one took its place, digital photography. How did Kodak deal with digital photography? Their branding mistake? The wrong name on a digital products. The wrong name. They had the technology, but they called it Kodak. They called the cameras Kodak cameras. One brand name cannot stand for two different categories. Much better to have multiple brand names, to take advantage and distance yourself, as a matter of fact. I mean, the best thing, why do you buy a Lexus? Because Toyota made it? I don't think so. You buy it despite the fact that Toyota made it. Kodak should have used a new brand name. Positioning principle number 4, visual hammer. One of my absolute favorites, the importance and power of using visuals in your marketing. I mean, come on, we live in a world of words. We're dominated by words, but the best way into the mind is not with words, it's with visuals. Yet visuals dominate words. Look at this, what do you say? What do you think, huh? They put the wrong headline on the picture. Ugly woman? I don't think so. Seeing is believing, you believe the picture. Not the words. The visuals dominate those words. Nobody said they put the wrong picture with that headline. Never. People assume the picture is more important. And one of the reasons is that you have one mind but two brains. You have a left brain and a right brain. The right brain handles visuals, and it's also the side of your emotions, and why the picture of a baby is more emotional. The left brain handles verbals and words, and why baby communicates, but it's not emotional. Visuals are emotional in a way that words just are not. So the best way, therefore, to put your brand name in the mind, to own that idea in the mind, is to drive it in with a visual that has emotional impact. For Coca-Cola, the bottle. Marlboro, the cowboy. Corona, the lime, and the top of the bottle. Look at the success of Marlboro cigarettes. Before Marlboro was launched, there was 5 strong brands on the market, and they were all unisex brands. Just one more. In fact, at the time, mostly men were smokers that were trying to expand the market and get women to smoke, so they all had women in the ads. It made sense in the market, I suppose, try to expand the market, but not in the mind. You don't get in the mind trying to be everything to everyone. A narrow approach is what you need. And so Marlboro focused on men, giving up half the potential market. And then they found a visual to drive in that idea, the cowboy, as the visual to communicate the masculinity of the brand. How successful were they? Well, we all know it's the world's best-selling cigarette. Hopefully a category in decline, but the power of that marketing message is just still an interesting case history. Number 2, Winston. Number 3, Mild 7 in Asia. The cowboy is a visual hammer. It communicates something. That's what a good visual hammer does. It's not just attractive. It says masculine cigarette. It hammers an idea into the mind. Do you have a visual? Is it saying something? Is it hammering anything in the mind? Every year, branding consultancy Interbrand ranks the 100 most valuable global brands. There's never been a Mexican brand on the list. There's one Mexican brand now on the list. It's Corona. Corona's a great example, interesting example, because it wasn't a big, powerful brand in Mexico. It was a working class, cheap beer with a painted label. But the US importers got a better idea of how to market the brand. And so they came into the American market, they made Corona a premium beer, they sold it in Mexican restaurants, and then they did the thing that made the brand. They stuck a lime in the top of the bottle. It communicated the authenticity of the brand. Mexico is a lime country. The US is a lemon country. The lime is the visual hammer. It communicates the authenticity that Corona is a real, authentic Mexican beer. And all of their marketing, including their ads and everything else, is focused on this one visual and this one communication. And it's become a global success. You would think, you know, does everyone really want Mexican beer? Well, apparently, here's Al and I in China. In China, in Guangzhou, China, and there, right there, at the bottom, Corona's on the menu. And they serve it with a lime. Can you imagine that? Power of a narrow focus standing for something that can be globally successful because it means something. It became the #1 beer in America for 20 years in a row and still going. Now it beat out Heineken, the previous #1. I mean, think about it. I mean, Corona's got the lime. What does Heineken have? Well, what do they have? They do have a star, like many brands that have some kind of visual. But think about it. What does a star say? What does a star communicate? They put it on everything, big red star. Well, I mean, it's most closely associated with the Soviet Union. Is that really the message they want? I don't think so. A trademark is not a visual hammer. It doesn't communicate something, and the typeface either. Every brand has a trademark. Very, very few brands have a visual hammer. The contour bottle for Coca-Cola is a great visual hammer. It drives in the authenticity. See, they were first in a new category. It's a powerful position. They're the real thing, the real authentic cola. But nobody drinks it out of bottles anymore, but they put that imagery on everything these days. They put it on the cans, the cups, and the advertising, and the trucks. I see it everywhere, calling cards. Or how about the largest global restaurant chain? I've seen them all over Toronto and all over the world, right? McDonald's, $22.8 billion in sales. One very effective part of that marketing is just the visibility of the restaurants. Here's a picture of a McDonald's without the golden arches. It doesn't even look real. Here it is with the golden arches. What a difference. What a difference a visual makes. The importance of street visibility, particularly in fast food and retail, is enormous. And McDonald's has amazing street visibility with that golden arches. I mean, here, geez, it's easy to miss a Burger King. It's an attractive logo, but it doesn't stop you when you're driving down the street. It's hard to miss a McDonald's. Or how about Apple? A classic, iconic logo. One color, though, is better than many colors. The original logo was a rainbow, which is very attractive, but we're not going for attractive. We're going for memorable, and single colors are always more memorable than multiple colors. It's simple. You see it striking on the phones and the computers of people around the world. Simple, but memorable. That's what you're going for. Oh, well, how about flags? I mean, flags are really kind of your visual symbol for your country, but most of them are impossible to remember. Most of them use multiple colors. I mean, do you know that there's a quick quiz here? How many can you name? Well, that's Germany, France, Belgium, Netherlands, Italy, and Russia. How many did you get? I got a second part of the quiz. Maybe you'll do better here. You know, we have some ringers in the room, so. The 3 most memorable flags in the world: Japan, Israel, and Canada. I mean, the maple leaf, there's not many countries that have a visual like the maple leaf. I mean, I even saw the McDonald's sign. They put a maple leaf in the middle of the golden arches. That is you can see the power of that maple leaf for your country and for your companies. Amazing. The single color hammer. Now, before I end, And before you ask, what about Virgin? Don't they go against everything? Why do we need to focus when they don't focus? Why can't we sell everything like Virgin does? So much fun they're having, right? And they're into everything. A bad branding strategy, for sure. I mean, and bad business. Virgin Cola went nowhere, they said it would, right? Virgin Vodka went nowhere. Virgin Wines went nowhere. Virgin Atlantic today is even in trouble. 2018 lost 32 million, which was better because they lost 60 million in 2017. It's saved by its founder. It's saved by its founder, and Richard Branson will do anything for PR and promotion. He will do anything. I mean it right here on his underwear. It says stiff competition, if you can't read it. He'll dress up in drag. People, unless you have a CEO that's Richard Branson, you can't do this kind of crazy stuff. You're not Richard Branson, who will do anything for PR. Little like Donald Trump, right? Crazy. So just one more reminder, the 4 key principles of positioning in the 21st century. 1, own a word in the mind. 2, narrow your focus. 3, have multiple brands to expand your business. And 4, use a visual hammer to drive your brand into the mind of the consumer. Thank you.
Can I call a Xerox guy who came to me? Can you come here? Laura, somebody reached to me and he said Xerox numbers have been given comparatively old. So we need to clarify that because he said we're going to go to the legal. Please come. What was your numbers?
Great speech, by the way. In fact, I've read a couple of your books too, so I appreciate that. Just a small correction on your data. Xerox Xerox branded has never been bought by Fuji.
Oh, okay.
So just a correction on that. They did not. They actually bought stocks back from Fuji. Fuji doesn't own Xerox anymore. So just a correction. Yeah, the Xerox legal reached out and they wanted you to apologize. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and that, my friends, is how teamwork works. So thank you very much, Laura. Thank you very much, Xerox representative. It was an excellent speech. I learned a lot. I'm sure we all learned a lot. A little thing that I learned just from her speaking is marketing really is all about passion. If you're passionate about something, you're marketing it. You're the marketer about whatever you're passionate about. Before we call upon our next speaker, I'm going to give you